What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Heat Check Podcast. As always, co-host Joey, me, Brett. Horrible week. I can't even fucking get my intro right. It was just been a horrible week for me. It really was. Even though we won, it is it's not good. It's not great, but we'll get into it later. But finally, big news. Something great to talk about. Not really great, but something to talk about with the NBA. Lakers winning the finals. What are your takes
Whoa.
on this?
I really do not care.
I don't.
It's
I hate to be one of those guys that's like this doesn't really count because I do like the fact that Anthony Davis got a ring. And that the Henny got J.R. Smith. He got himself another one because he deserved it. But it's just the whole thing. The Lakers are now tied for the most rings of all time.
yeah, I hated that as a
In
Celtics
the
fan.
fact that, and it would have been so much better to see the Celtics go against them. And I really did like the Heat for a fifth seed team. The Heat were good. I feel like it would have been perfect if the Heat would have been able to pull out, but they weren't able to, which was really sad. But yeah, how do you think this really sets out when it comes to it? Because now that Anthony Davis has himself a ring, he isn't really going to be winning MVP anytime soon because he's not the major weapon. He's kind of on side with LeBron. But how do you see all this kind of turning out when it comes to all, because everyone's already talking about all-time talks for LeBron. How do you see this turning out for Anthony Davis? Does this help his case in any way to get him to like top 5 positional?
Absolutely. I mean, he had a great year. He performed in the finals, maybe even better than LeBron. Of course, they're gonna give LeBron the Finals MVP, but he
Which this time out of any time I'll give them, because when they did the 3-1 comeback, of course, give it to LeBron. This time around, he's a 6'9" point guard, and usually they give these type of awards to the point guards, the leaders of the teams, and it's LeBron. There's no way the NBA wouldn't give it to their trophy boy.
yeah.
So, but I like the fact Anthony Davis got himself a ring. I would have loved to see it been with another team, but that's pretty much the real happiness about it. And also love to see two former Wizards, Dwight Howard finally got himself a ring, and Markieff
That's your
Morris.
that's your favorite player, right?
Yeah, definitely. Nah, man. I just hope Wizards can make the playoffs next year because that's all we seem to be good at for the like past like 40 years. But yeah, not much come out of the NBA usually. It'll be a dry spell. We might not be talking about the NBA for a good couple of weeks until the draft comes around, free agency starts stirring up. But let's get into week 5. A huge week, a lot of big games from people and a lot of bad things. Let's start off with some of the scores. Bucks actually get beat by the Bears, surprisingly. That division is now kind of neck and neck. Bucks, Panthers, surprisingly, and Saints are all really neck and neck in that division. Eagles, Steelers. I did not think this game was going to be that good. I did not think Miles Sanders was going to go out there and perform, but he did. Had a great game. But of course, everyone's talking about Chase Claypool. I mean, how can you not? The
Yeah,
kid
he's
had
the hype. He's the
he
hype.
had 116 total yards, 1 rushing touchdown and 3 receiving touchdowns. Absolute monster this week. And then we got the Raiders versus the Chiefs. Raiders pulling out an upset. Are the Raiders a dark horse? Like when it comes to playoffs, we're not talking
Yeah,
about dark horse for the Super Bowl.
great
I mean,
coaching by
obviously
Gruden
not.
right there.
It is a
Great game.
great coach. It is a really hard, and I thought it was going to be another dud, but he got into the end zone at the end. Do you feel like the Raiders can make a good splash, similar to how the Titans were last year in the AFC?
Absolutely, dude. I mean, of course they have a tougher division, but Gruden is a great coach. He coached a great game. I mean,
Yeah.
Derek
I mean,
Carr has been
at this
performing
point,
above everyone's expectations.
Raiders, I feel like, have pretty much punched their ticket in for the wild card with how well their defense has shocked me with how well they could be playing. It's a really well-rounded team.
And they
I
got
feel
some
like
key stops in the red zone against the
very,
Chiefs,
very
which is
key top end.
pretty hard.
And you can't help but just acknowledge how good Derek Carr is playing right now. But yeah, they upset the Chiefs. It seems like whenever a team is talked about going undefeated, they lose the next week. So yeah, why don't you talk about Arizona like that so we can beat them? But then let's skip over the game that I really want to talk about. We'll save that for a later discussion. Vikings, Seattle, Sunday Night Football. I thought this was a great game.
Surprised me.
Absolute boneheaded move from their head coach. I can't even fucking
Yeah.
remember his name, but an absolute boneheaded move. Didn't kick the field goal in the red zone. Went for it. I mean, I understand. it's Russell Wilson. I get it because we went through the same thing. I completely understand it. If you get the first down, run the clock, and basically you win. But you kick that field goal and you make it an 8-point game, and at least at the very most, Seattle ties it. What are
Yeah.
you doing not kicking the field goal? That is just Mike Zimmer. That's his name. What are you doing not kicking that field goal, Mike Zimmer? I don't even, not even attempting it. And then you got Saints Chargers for Monday Night Football. I feel bad for Herbert. I really do because he played amazing. He played amazing, and I really do want to hear your take on this. Do you think Herbert will end up performing as the best QB in the draft this year?
Right now he definitely is. I mean, Joe Burrow has been great, but he had a terrible game this past week. Just got just obliterated by the Ravens. Herbert is very impressive. Could have been a blessing in disguise for Chargers fans. It's not a blessing, but I mean that Tyrod got his lung punctured. But I mean, it's really bringing out that rookie, and I'm sure I would be glad if I was a Chargers fan because
no
big
doubt.
future ahead of him.
Yeah. I feel like this team would be a lot better. Every game has been really close. I feel like this team would be a lot better. It's just that hole seems like it's missing. I'm surprised. I don't think anyone was surprised how good their defense is, but I feel like that hole that Derwin James has left in that defense with him being out for the year. I feel like if Derwin was there, this team would be a lot more dangerous. And then, of course, now Keenan Allen could be out next. Not out next week because they have a bye this coming week. But Keenan Allen could be dealing with some injuries. Mike Williams had a huge game. And then we got the Tuesday Night Football game. Holy crap, what happened to the Bills? I mean, everyone was talking about this Bills offense like they were one of the most underrated and most hyped up offenses. Josh Allen was playing out of his mind. And then the Titans come back from a COVID break and just flat out demolished them. I mean, Jonnu Smith had a great game. I mean, Derrick Henry didn't have an amazing game, but he got to the end zone. Tannehill, absolute amazing game. And then A.J. Brown coming back from a long break due to injury and the COVID. A.J. Brown had a good game. There was just an all-around really good performance from this Titans. 6 touchdowns. If a team scores 6 touchdowns, you can't really expect them to lose. But the way that do you find this alarming with Bills? Because they lost Tre'Davious White for the night. That just shows you how big of a factor Trey White can be. So if Trey White is out for even longer, do you think this is more of an alarm for the Bills?
It definitely is an alarm because this is the first good team that they've played. They've had an extremely easy schedule, and this coming from a Patriots fan.
I wouldn't say that. The Rams, I feel like the Rams were the first good team that they played because the Rams are really performing great right now.
The Titans are the best team that they've played all year, and it shows that they didn't perform against a good team.
Yeah, no doubt.
But they're definitely probably still going to win the division. I mean, the Patriots they're going to win this week against the Broncos probably, but we're going to see how that division plays out. It's going to be close.
And then before we get into our players of the week, let's talk about some of the big topics coming out of week 5. Le'Veon is no longer a Jet. I feel like everyone was just waiting for this kid to break out, and he just didn't. Le'Veon did not break out for the Jets. Boneheaded move, knuckleheaded move. They need to get Adam Gase out of there because he is just wasted talent back and forth. Now, I'm not saying Le'Veon could have had a better chance in there because I do feel like Le'Veon is a shell of his former self, but I feel like he is a good match for a lot of offense. Who do you think Le'Veon lands in?
I'm thinking the Bears and the Lions and the Patriots. They're all 3 good fits for him. Bears and Lions both have some questionable running backs. I mean, Lions have Peterson.
Montgomery has really – I think Montgomery started to peek his head into that backfield, especially after playing that good Bears defense. I mean, that good Bucks defense last week. He peeked his head. He got into the end zone. Nick Foles seems to be liking him. I wouldn't commit on it right away because you never know. Matt Nagy is one of those coaches that just does not like fantasy teams. But yeah, I was thinking kind of the same thing with the whole Bears and Detroit. Was there anyone else you were saying?
I was thinking of the Patriots, man. I mean, Patriots have a cluttered backfield. They've never really had that workhorse guy. And I mean, it's a perfect time. We have cap space. We have plenty of cap space.
Because I don't think the Pats
sign a guy like Bell, and he's the workhorse for the rest of the year. I mean, you throw on White on third downs, but
I think that would be a very Pats move. I don't think they do it just because of. I feel like they like their guys. Damian Harris looked like he was peeking his head, but now Cam is coming back and he's taking away a lot of those touches. Ironically enough, you wouldn't think a QB would affect that, but a guy like Cam does that to a running back. committee, pretty much, because
Yeah.
that's all New England has had over there for a little
A
bit.
huge committee.
They got James White as a receiving back. He's one of the better receiving backs in the league just because he is very secure when it comes to him. And I like Sony Michel. I still really do like
Michelle, I
Sony
think
Michel.
Michel's injured this week still, right? He's
He is.
questionable. I think he's questionable. He was injured last week.
I feel like they still like their guys and Damian Harris. I could see the Pats pulling this out, but I think actually the best fit for Le'Veon is either with the Cardinals or with the Dolphins. Kenyon Drake has not been showing out. Kenyon Drake has not at all been showing out. Now that he's released, feet away from it, because I thought that it would be a great move for the Cardinals to ship out Kenyon Drake. He's not looking good. He was kind of dealing with injuries, but he is not looking good at all. He's not even close to what he was performing for them at the end of last season. Chase Edmonds looked like he's about to take over this backfield. And not only that, I mean, Le'Veon has barely played any games, and I feel like he's played better than Kenyon Drake. I mean, Kenyon Drake's found the end zone, but Le'Veon is playing in a horrible offense, and I feel like Cardinals would have been a good fit if it would have been for a trade, but I strongly feel like Le'Veon is going to sign with Miami. This will be a big splash for Miami. Fitzmagic is going to have him another weapon. Myles Gaskin seems to be poking his head in that backfield. But, I mean, how do you pass up on a guy like Le'Veon? And Detroit, I feel like that would be too many running backs on their hands. They're trying to develop DeAndre Swift, bringing in a guy like Adrian Peterson and Kerryon Johnson when he comes back. I mean, I feel like out of all the scenarios here, Miami is the best for me and the most probable fit. And then over in Atlanta, they finally did it. I guess whatever it took them to do it. Can't believe it took them to lose 5 straight games at the beginning of the season. But Dan Quinn, finally out of there. I don't know how good their interim head coach is going to be, but do you think? I mean, of course, from here you got to think Atlanta's going to go up. But I mean, can you see Atlanta at least making it to 500?
It's going to be tough. Their whole team has to step up. It's going to be tough for their defense to step up. I mean, this guy's saying that he's trying to move away from Matt Ryan. We'll see. Matt Ryan definitely needs to step up. I don't think that they're going to get near 500, honestly. I think they're going to go at max 7-9. They're getting killed by the Panthers, who are the worst in their division. So.
Yeah, that's what – and I wouldn't even say the Panthers are the worst in the division, because even though the Panthers haven't played the greatest, Teddy Bridgewater is really shaping this off, especially without Christian McCaffrey. I mean, this team has played better since Christian McCaffrey got hurt. I hate to say it. But Robbie Anderson has broken out for them in a tremendous way.
Yeah,
DJ Moore is still that dude. Mike Davis looks like a committee could be performing. Now, of course, it's not going to be that big of a committee because CMC is obviously going to get more of the snaps. But you got such a promising offense over there, especially led by a guy that nobody thought was going to make any too big of a splash. And their defense is playing way better. Their rushing defense is atrocious. I mean, Todd Gurley looked amazing this week. And when you look back at the season he has been last week. They make every running back look amazing against them. And I feel like that'll be the same thing. But when it comes to the pass, Panthers have been doing pretty good. 10 for them. It sucks because they do have a lot of good talent on that offense. It's just they just don't got it. And then, of course, got to talk about the injuries. As always, really does suck. Let's start off with the Cardinals. Chandler Jones, a huge injury for them, out for the season. It really does suck. He is a sack machine. He was like that last year. He's been like that pretty much his whole career. Even though he started off kind of slow, only had 1 sack so far this year. He is the anchor for that Arizona defense. And without him, I see that defense taking a major hit. I still feel like their secondary still plays good with Pat Pete and Budda Baker, but they don't have that same linebacker, just overall that linebacker threat that they would have. And it really is sad to see it because Chandler Jones is a very underrated guy. He is a very underrated pass rusher, but he puts up stats. Not a lot of people talk about his name, and they're not going to be talking about him for the rest of the season. And, of course, one of the most gruesome injuries I've seen in a little bit. It's got to happen to my favorite player in the fucking league, Dak Prescott, out for the year. It sucks. 4 to 6 months, compound fracture. Doesn't seem like there was any ligament or muscle damage. So that is a very good sign. but he is obviously out for the whole season. What do you see the Cowboys ceiling with Dalton being? Because Rifle came in and he did it. I mean, he had huge plays to Gallup, and I will give credit to both of them. Great passes, great plays from Gallup. He looked good, but then again, he came off cold, and they game script against him. So it really is going to take to see how they perform this week against Arizona. But do you think the Cowboys can still take this division with Dalton?
I don't think they're going to take that much of a hit. They still have a super high-powered offense, probably top 2, top 3 receiving core in the league. Fast running backs. You got Zeke. What else can you ask for? Good O-line. Probably one of the best offenses in the league. It's not gonna mean that much for Prescott not to be there. Obviously, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He made some plays that Dalton obviously won't make, but Dalton is gonna perform. He performed in Cincinnati for years, and if he has this type of offense, I mean, he's going to be an average quarterback. He's going to take him some wins. He's still probably going to win.
Yeah, I mean, it was obvious when this came out that nobody was going to be like, all right, great, that the backup's coming in. Like when Tony Romo got injured, oh great, who the hell is this Dakota Prescott kid? Oh my God, how did we not know about this kid? How did he slip into the 4th round? That's not going to be like that with Dalton, but Dalton does have the greatest offense I feel like he's ever had, at least when you come to the wide receiver core. I mean, CeeDee Lamb is looking like the best. He's looking like the best rookie to come out of the class, and that's not me hyping up my Cowboy. He is insane. He has been playing. He has the most receiving yards out of the slot. He is a touchdown thrower. I mean, he's been playing great. He's really been showing his value. And Gallup and Coop. Can't forget about those. Dalton Schultz has been looking really good, filling in for Blake Jarwin. Of course, Zeke, one of the best running backs in the league. And even when Zeke's out, Pollard is a serviceable guy. Has their O-line taken a lot of hits? Yes. We lost Tyron and Lyle, our 2 tackles. 1 All-Pro, both of them Pro Bowler tackles, out for the season in the same week. The only guy anchoring that offensive line now is going to be Zach Martin. But, I mean, you can't help but say, like, this offense is going to be great. And we got the potential of Vander Esch coming back next week, earlier than expected. Chidobe Awuzie. Sean Lee is going to be soon coming back from injury. We don't know how long he'll stay healthy after that because it's Sean Lee, but we got all of these guys coming back. Of course, this Cowboys team is going to do better without Dak, but when it comes to their ceiling, I feel like if the Cowboys can somehow manage to pull off a 9 or 10 win season with Dalton, we get McCoy back next year, somehow keep at least a fraction of the guys that we had on IR, because we have 13 guys on IR right now. Fraction of those guys go on IR next season. I mean, I got to be hopeful. I can't help but be hopeful, especially with Dak being back. But if we can go 9 or 10 wins, it is a huge dub, especially with Dalton stepping in. But I'm putting all my hope in Red Rifle. So let's get into our players of the weeks, though. Offensive player of the week, I feel like this is pretty obvious, but I want to start off with yours.
I'm going with Claypool, the obvious choice. 4 touchdowns.
Same here.
Over 100 yards.
No doubt.
Great week from a rookie.
Yeah, no doubt. And then defensive player of the week. I got Malcolm Butler. I don't know where in the hell Malcolm Butler came back from, but holy moly, he put on a show against that Bills offense. And I saw a lot of people putting out Patrick Queen because, they did what they did against the Bengals. But this Bills offense was insane coming into this game. They looked like one of the best offenses in the league. And Malcolm Butler comes out. An interception at the very beginning of the game to set up an early touchdown. In total, 2 interceptions, a tackle for a loss, 7 total tackles, 2 pass deflections. Malcolm Butler had himself an amazing game. And what about you?
I actually had Patrick Queen. Unbelievable performance. I mean, it was against the Bengals. You have that argument, but you can't deny that performance. 9 tackles, a sack, 2 fumble Ruski recoveries, and 1 to the house. That's a stellar week. That's almost a perfect week from Patrick Queen. You can't deny that. I mean, Malcolm Butler did shut down the Bills last night. Good to see a guy like that.
No and that's the reason. And that the whole thing that I said. That's the whole reason I gave the advantage to Malcolm Butler, because even though they gave up more points, the deficit and the amount of this offense was crazy. I mean, yes, did they give up a lot of yards to Stephon Diggs, but they didn't let him get into the touchdown. They didn't let him get him a touchdown. I believe he didn't get a touchdown, did he? No, I'm pretty sure he didn't. I think he only got like He got 106 yards, and that's it. He got a shit ton of receptions, though. But, yeah, I feel like Malcolm Butler had the bigger impact. But Queen, definitely a great performance. And then our hits and misses, going to run right through this. My hits, I had Teddy Bridgewater. Chase Edmonds, told you to start him. Told him he was going to start peeking out his head for that backfield, and he did. He put up 20 last week. Greg Zuerlein, and then the Rams defense. And my hits for when it came to my sits, I said sit Boyd. Good choice. Sit Hopkins, and I said sit the Raiders defense, even though they won. Still only had 4 points. And my misses, I said Dalvin Cook was going to be the stud, and he was looking like he was about to have a stud game. But then, of course, he got injured, so I can't help but put him as a miss. I said sit Myles Gaskin, and he played great. They just demolished the Niners. That was really sad. I said start Justin Jefferson. It sucked. It was a really prime matchup. He just didn't do all that great like I expected him to. Dalton Schultz, I said to start him, and he did not play great. He had 1 point. And then I said sit Hooper. I said sit Hooper because I feel like Austin Hooper, Colts defense, but he managed to get 10. I mean, that shocked me. So I'll put that as a miss.
My hits, I was almost perfect on the week. I missed on David Johnson. He didn't lose your week, though. He put up 12 points. I said to start him versus Jacksonville. He didn't lose your week, though. I said to start Slayton. Great game against the Cowboys, 20 points. Ingram with 10 points. That's a hit. I said Bridgewater, as well as that's what Brett said, so he hit. I said to sit Burrow, and I said to sit McLaurin. I mean, I did very good last week. That was one of my best sits and starts performances. Let's get into this week's starts and sits.
No doubt. Stud of the week. For me, it's obvious, but I am curious to see what do you have as yours.
I got DeAndre Hopkins.
Of course.
Going against the Cowboys. This could be
no doubt.
the record performance in fantasy history. I might even predict that. I think the record is 62 from Clinton Portis, but Hopkins could break that this week, and I'm not even joking about that. That's definitely possible.
I think D-Hop is the obvious stud. This defense sucks. Now, I am going to be very curious to see if they do air, because this is the type of defense that they will air it out to all of the receivers, not just one specific guy. I don't know how LVE being back will affect coverage when it comes to tight ends or whatever, and I don't know how Chidobe being back, because I feel like Dix has been playing good. But I feel like D-Hop is definitely going to be probably a 30 bomb. I don't know about record setting because I do feel like Christian Kirk is going to have a really good week. That's going to take a little bit away from him. But D-Hop, obviously, going to be the start of the week. And then stardoms, situms, QBs. Who do you got?
I'm going with my quarterbacks. I put 2 because I wanted you guys to hear both of them. I got Fitzmagic and Cousins. Fitzmagic is playing the Jets. We've seen what quarterbacks have been doing to the Jets all year. And then Atlanta is the worst defense versus quarterbacks. So play Cousins. He had a couple breakout games last year. He's one of those guys that's wishy-washy. This is the week where if you have an injury or something, pick him up, play him. He has the potential to drop at least 25 points against this terrible secondary. And for my sit, I have my start from last week, Bridgewater against Chicago. Chicago seemed to shut down Brady, forced Brady to only 14 points. And Bridgewater is definitely a worse quarterback, but we'll see what he can do against Chicago.
Yeah, I got Fitzmagic. Fitzmagic has been putting on a clinic. I mean, for some of these defenses, I mean, he's averaged, I think it was like 23 points over the past couple of weeks. He put up 27 against the Niners defense. Banged up, yes, but still 27. And then I got Carson Wentz playing up against Baltimore. We saw what they did against Joe Burrow. I mean, it's pretty much obvious to not trust Carson Wentz, but after last week, their offense started to show some promise. But, yeah, no, not against Baltimore.
You should have already dropped Carson Wentz, in my opinion.
Yeah, no doubt. And then running backs. I'm going to start off with the running backs. Dalvin Cook is out. It sucks. It really does suck. But that is a huge opportunity for Alexander Mattison. He's going to come in against Atlanta. We saw what Mike Davis did against him. That was Mike Davis. And Madison managed to do good in that time that Dalvin Cook was limited / out. So I feel like he's going to have a great week. I debated putting him as my stud of the week because I do feel like Madison is one of those guys where when it comes to backup running backs, he's one of the better in the leagues. But I just put him as our regular start. And then as my sits, seems like Philip Lindsay is going to be the main guy for Denver this week. because that whole thing going on with Gordon. I don't know how that's gonna shape out, but either way, anybody on Denver, I really do not trust this week. So sit Philip Lindsay, get him out of your lineup.
Okay, I'm also going with Madison. He has the backfield to himself. He ended up putting 20 points up last week after Dalvin Cook went down. If he has the backfield to himself this week, he's going to be getting all the goal line carries, all the passes. Maybe not all, but at least 90%. This guy's going to be a stud this week. Please pick him up. If you have any waivers, it's got to be on Madison this week. It's got to be on Madison.
If you have anything but the 8th waiver priority, like I do, put a waiver on him.
Yeah, put a waiver on Madison this week and play him this week until Cook comes back. Then you can get rid of him, or even still keep him for depth in case he goes down again. Because I think Dalvin Cook will go down again, and I'm gonna go ahead and predict that right now. And as my sit, running back is tough, man. There's barely any running backs left, so it's kind of hard to choose sits for this. I chose Damian Harris, the Patriots running back, versus Denver, who's like the number 8 versus running backs, I believe. It's just tough, man. If you have running backs, you got to play them because they're so rare. They're terribly rare this year. So many went down. You gotta hang on, even if you have some bad running backs.
Yeah, and then wide receivers for this week. As my start, I'm gonna put Marquise Brown. We saw what Chase Claypool did against Philadelphia's defense. And Marquise Brown had a relatively good week last week, 19 points. I feel like this could be a big week for Marquise. I really hope I don't see, because that's the thing with Hollywood. He could have a really good matchup and then put up 7. But I do feel like he's primed to have a really good game, 2 really good games in a row for counting last week. And then this week I'm gonna go with another Bronco, Jerry Jeudy. He showed some promise in that previous game. I'm thinking of the Jets game, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he had that crazy catch. But Drew Lock has a potential comeback this week. I don't know who he's going to really prefer, especially without Cortland Sutton out there. And if Noah Fant is back, you already know Drew Lock is going to be looking at him. So especially if Gilmore's back, I don't trust Jerry Jeudy this week.
All right, for my receivers, I'm going to go with Chark. He's going to have a bounce-back game versus Detroit this week. He was injured last week. He went out with an ankle, something wrong with his ankle. I believe it was a sprain. He's expected to play this week. I think he's going to have a big bounce-back game because he had a great game in the prior week. I don't know. I forget who he played, but he put up 30 points. He's going to have a bounce-back week versus Detroit's weak defense. For my sit, Tyler Boyd versus Indiana. Indiana's been great versus receivers.
Especially Xavier Rhodes. I mean, Xavier Rhodes was horrible last year, and then you flash back to him, and he's a whole different breed. I mean, maybe it's just the culture over there in Indianapolis, but Xavier Rhodes roughened up, and he's playing like one of the best cornerbacks in the league right now, and it really is great to see that. And then tight ends, who do you got?
I'm gonna go with Eric Ebron as my start versus Cleveland. We saw what Dalton Schultz did to Cleveland. He put up some good numbers. Got Eric Ebron, speed threat. He's doing pretty good. He's been pretty consistent this year with some 10 pieces, like I think a couple like 14. But he's been pretty consistent. He's a safe play this week if you're running out of tight ends. And for my sit, I'm going with the bum of the past 2 weeks as Zach Ertz versus Baltimore.
Jeez.
Like get this guy out of here. Well, if you drafted this guy, I feel bad for you because he's been terrible. He's been terrible since week 1. Week 1 was his only good performance. He's playing Baltimore. He's gonna get shut down. I wouldn't play him.
I would have thought that with Goddard being on IR, it's like, oh, this is prime for Ertz to come out there. But nope, he's been putting up duds left and right. I don't know, man. It is not looking good for Ertz. For my tight ends, I got Mike Gesicki against the Jets. Gesicki, he had like 91 receiving yards last week against San Francisco, and that was against a good coverage linebacker in Fred Warner. Overall, that San Fran defense just laid down. That whole team laid down on their backs. But I feel like Gesicki could get into the end zone. Noah Fant got injured in the game against the Jets. I do feel like he would have had a good game against him because it does look like he was getting targeted a lot on that drive where he got injured. I feel like Gesicki can get some big yards in this game and definitely get into the end zone. And then as my sit, I got Dalton Schultz versus Arizona. when it comes to safeties and everything, I feel like Arizona don't have the best, but they have serviceable safeties. And I don't know if I really trust Schultz, especially with Dak being out for the season, at all anymore. It really does depend on who his targets are going to. And it's one thing to not really trust in your receivers, but I don't really remember Tyler Eifert being that big of a target for Andy Dalton, and especially when it comes to the lack of tackles that we have, the lack of serviceable tackles that we have. Because one of our tackles, I think it's like an undrafted rookie, is utter and complete trash. So I feel like Dalton Schultz will start to go into that role that Zach Ertz has gone into as a blocker.
Yeah, you're
So
right.
I don't think he'll be getting that amount of targets. Of course, in those games they were playing from behind, so he got insane numbers of targets. But when it comes to a on and off tight end, I don't feel like Schultz will end up being that.
Yeah,
So
that's a good take.
at least for now, sit on it. You can think about it, but for now, don't put Schultz in your lineup this week. And then when it comes to defenses, Miami versus New York.
Me too.
Obviously. You always got to start the guys against the Jets, even though Cardinals had like 6 last week. My Rams defense did end up putting like 11 or 12 against Washington. I did like that. And then this week, sit the Bills. If Tre'Davious White is out, either way, sit him. I feel like if Trey White is in there, he could make some plays for them to give them a couple of points. But either way, this Bills defense, I still feel like it's one of the better defenses in the league. But they didn't look good last week. And with not Cam, I'm thinking about the wrong team. Mahomes, I feel like he's going to come back and he's going to be angry because Mahomes doesn't like losing because he barely loses. But, yeah, Bills, not a good start this week at all.
They play the Chiefs, Bills and Chiefs?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I'm pretty sure they're on Monday.
I have the Dolphins as my start, obviously, and I'm going with the Browns defense as my sit versus Pittsburgh after the Pittsburgh offense was last. I mean, Browns defense has been surprisingly pretty good this year. Pittsburgh has just been great though.
Browns are looking serious. Browns are looking legit this year. Like yeah. I didn't think I'd be saying that, but they have played good opponents now. They look great. They actually look really good.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna sit them versus Pittsburgh this week because Pittsburgh has been amazing, and they might win that division against the Ravens. Honestly, we might be terribly wrong about what we said in the beginning of the season.
Yeah, but waiver wire pickups, running back, obvious, very obvious one. 12.6% owned. Get this guy if you can. We said it already. Alexander Mattison, the obvious top waiver wire pickup for this week. Is that who you had?
I knew you were gonna say Madison. I wasn't gonna put him because I already had him as my start, so that's obviously pick him up. I have Chase Edmonds if you don't have him already. Yeah. He's a good pass catching back. I mean, I know Brett already mentioned him. He's a pretty consistent guy. He might not do what he's been doing consistently, but he'll put up 10 for you.
And then wide receiver, this is a very, very low percentage of actually take that back. This is the one that's owned low. Christian Kirk is owned in 44.8 percentage of the leagues. And he plays against Dallas this week. He is a great start. He is a great add. He's available in my league. He's available in a lot of leagues. So pick up Christian Kirk, no doubt.
I went with A.J. Brown after his game last night. He's back. He looks like the number one target on that team, besides Johnny Smith. Johnny Smith's been getting a lot of targets. He's a great tight end to have on your fantasy. But A.J. Brown, he's not a must pickup, but, if you see him start, he's starting to get better. He's starting to get back into that offense, and he's going to be the number one target, best wide receiver on that offense.
Yeah. And then QB, I feel like this one's obvious as well. There's a lot of obvious waiver wire pickups, but I would say maybe not because his matchup is great this week. I'm just saying for the future, because there's a big chance he breaks out. Pick up Andy Dalton this week while you can, because he might not put up the greatest performance against Arizona, but he's got the weapons to break out against any defense whenever he wants. I'm picking up Dalton because I desperately need him, because I did have Dak on my fantasy team as well, and that's what just drove the dagger in this week. But I'm definitely picking up Dalton and stashing him on my bench, because also the only guy we've played from the NFC East is the Giants. We played the Giants once and nobody else. We still got to play the Washington football team twice. We still got to play the Giants again, and then that Philadelphia defense is not good. That defense is not good. Their D-line seems to be the only good thing, and even then they couldn't stop James Conner. So he's got a lot of good matchups looking his way. So, yeah, definitely pick up Dalton this week.
I had Dalton also, but pick up Herbert too.
Yeah,
Herbert's
no
been
doubt.
playing great if he's
Herbert,
not owned.
yeah. Herbert, I feel like at this point is going to start getting picked up by a lot of guys, no doubt. And of course, I feel like in a lot of leagues, there's always just those QBs that are doing really good. So if Fitzmagic is still out there, he's the 8th ranked QB. He's a QB8 right now for fantasy, based off the NFL app. So if Dalton or Herbert isn't available, pick up Fitzmagic if you really do need that QB that bad. But let's get into our week 6 predictions. We got some good games coming up. Let's start off with Cleveland versus Pittsburgh.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Interdivisional matchup. I do feel like this will be a good game. I got Cleveland pulling off the upset. I don't know. I just really like this Cleveland offense. Kareem Hunt, the amount of snap percentages he's been getting is insane. He is not splitting the snaps like people thought he would when Chubb was back there. He is starting to look like a workhorse. I mean, he got like, I think the snap percentage was like 70% Kareem Hunt, 30% other guys. That's looking really good. This Pittsburgh defense, yeah, it's really good against running backs, but Miles Sanders proved them that a damn good running back can expose you just like that. And he exposed them big time last week. So, yeah, I feel like Cleveland can and will pull off the upset this week.
I'll go with Cleveland, too. Cleveland's had experience versus good teams. Pittsburgh is just starting to get to where they're starting to play good teams. I think Cleveland's going to go in there and shut them down, man.
Yeah. And then Houston, Tennessee. Tennessee's looking really good. Houston also, I do want to say this. Houston does look like a better team without Bill O'Brien.
Yeah, they're a brand new team.
Yeah, but I will take Tennessee here. Brandon Cooks looks like he's getting a lot more involved in the offense over there in Houston. Deshaun Watson is starting to see a lot more uprise in his production. But Tennessee, I feel like, is definitely the better team right now. I mean, they're undefeated. Yeah. They're playing great. Everyone on that offense looks great. Everyone on that defense looks great. They haven't even had all of their starters because of COVID, and they still did that to the Bills. I feel like this will be a good game. I do feel like this will be a good game. But Tennessee, I feel like, is going to take this one.
Yeah, I'll go with the Titans too. They're playing great right now. You can't bet against them after that game that Tannehill threw last night.
And don't forget, last year, Derrick Henry put them through the ringer.
Oh my gosh,
that's going to happen. It won't be. I don't feel like it'll be on the same level, but yeah, it doesn't look good for Houston. And then I feel like this will probably be the best matchup of the week because it really does look interesting. Green Bay, Tampa. Chris Godwin could be coming back for Tampa. That would just even beef up that offense. Ronald Jones looks great right now for Tampa. I didn't think he would, but he's playing better than Leonard Fournette. I mean, I don't know if I would specifically trust him because Leonard Fournette was coming off of an injury, so they didn't give him any snaps. Even though they activated him, they just didn't put him in the game at all. Ronald Jones looks great. But if you want to talk about looking great, that Green Bay Packers team is looking better than I would have ever imagined them. Aaron Jones, he's proven to everyone that he's not touchdown dependent. Why? Because he's getting involved. Just getting involved. Even when Devontae Adams was there, put up 17 in the first week. Aaron Jones looks great. Devontae Adams is coming back this week. This Green Bay offense
best team in the NFL, in my opinion, right now.
They're playing like it. They're damn sure well playing like it. But yeah, I got Green Bay winning this one.
Obviously, yeah, I'll take Green Bay.
Yeah. LA, San Fran, interdivisional. I'm pretty sure this is going to be this is the Sunday night football game. This could be really good. It depends on what San Fran shows up. More importantly, I feel like this game is going to ride on the back of Raheem Mostert. I would say Deebo Samuel could make an impact, but he hasn't really done that since he's come back. Mostert, McKinnon was just nowhere to be found last week, but Mostert was the only shining star for that San Fran team last week. I feel like LA will still win this, but it really does depend on which 49ers. It depends on how fired up they are. Because after a loss like that team's got to be pissed. That team has got to be pissed.
Yeah, definitely some coaches need to step up. Players need to step up. But I think the Rams will win that also.
Yeah. Rams are a really good team this year. That's another team that has shocked me. They've been playing really well without Gurley, even though Gurley is kind of hitting it off over there in Atlanta, but they have been playing really good. And then Kansas City versus Buffalo. Buffalo kind of had a dud last week. I wouldn't say that it would be really alarming for the whole team, but when it comes to quarterbacks, Josh Allen finally played a good defense, and
Yeah.
he got stomped. He got stomped. His whole team got stomped. That defense couldn't stop anything. And if Tre'Davious White is out, like I said earlier, if Tre'Davious White is out, then this game will not be close. This game will not at all be close. And that's the only reason I'm having it up here is because we're having 2 Monday night games again this week. So this is the first Monday night game. If Tre'Davious White is in, then this could be a little bit more competitive. It really just depends on if Josh Allen decides to throw a pick in the first 2 seconds of the game. But yeah, Kansas City winning in this.
Kansas City's winning that. I'll take Kansas City.
And then another game I feel like could be really good, especially with how bad our defense is. The Monday Night Football game this week. I gotta wait all week to see my Cowboys lose to the Cardinals. I feel like Cardinals are gonna end up taking this game. Nobody is stopping Kyler Murray right now. I don't feel like, even though he has been throwing a lot of turnovers. Yeah, no one's stopping Kyler Murray. No one's stopping D-Hop specifically. Who knows? Our luck, Kenyon Drake could break out for a 30 bomb this week. Who knows? I don't feel like it'll happen, though. But, yeah, I got Arizona winning this. Unless LVE plays for us. If LVE plays for us next week, which I keep on bringing him up because he is a very pivotal point to our defense, I feel like he will be a spark for our defense. If LVE comes in, and Chidobe, it already seems like it's pretty much he's a guy who's going to confirm to come in, but LVE wasn't ruled out for last week until last minute. So I really wouldn't be surprised if OVE comes back. If he does, I could see us pulling away. I really could see us pulling away. But yeah, Arizona's winning this one. Sadly, I hate to see Red Rifles' first start be a loss, but this is one of our harder matchups of the year.
Yeah, Arizona's air attack is going to be crazy, I think, versus Cowboys. It's going to be tough to stop. And I think Arizona's going to win because of that. Yeah. I think Cowboys will be able to stop them on the ground. They haven't been too good on the ground this year, but their air attack, they got one of those crazy receiving cores, just like the Cowboys. Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if this is another one of those games where Aldon Smith looks like Aldon Smith, pretty much ever since he was, I think it was the Niners he had all those stats with, or maybe it was the Raiders. I can't remember, but prime Aldon Smith. I feel like this could be one of those games. And even then, D-Law showed his face last year. I mean, he played great. D-Law had a forced, I'm pretty sure it was D-Law who had a forced fumble. Yeah, he had a strip sack. And then Anthony Brown picked it up and ran it back for a touchdown. Our defense made a play. Our defense got a touchdown. That is unheard of for Dallas. But it really does hurt me to say this. This team isn't going to be the same without Dak. And unless LVE comes back, I don't feel like Dallas has. I feel like this game will probably be about a 12-point deficit. But yeah, guys, that's all for this week. We had a lot to talk about, especially a lot of coming out of the NFL. I'm still recovering, but I think we're going to have a great week of football coming up, no doubt. We got another doubleheader over there at Monday Night Football. But as always, thank you guys for watching. Like the video, of course, if you like it, subscribe, and peace out.